Hi folks, Rodney Creator from Programmers Institute here. As promised, this will be my series on how to program Android using Java. Now, since I'm going to be a purist in this particular series of videos, you're not going to see me use much XML at all. I'm going to be a Java purist. Now, there's arguments on different camps about how things should be used and what should be used and why and all of that. But some of us just happen to like Java, and I'm one of them. And I program most of my programs for Android in Java, and will probably continue to do so, unless I get some better reason. First, if you have not gone through my videos on Programmers Institute on YouTube about Android app development setting up to use Java, you should do this. Alright, this is going to take you step by step to set up your computer with the necessary programs in order to successfully do the following videos and create Android programs in Java. Alright, then once you've gone through this, then you can come back here to this video and begin from here. To begin with, your screen, you're going to want to start up the Eclipse Integrated Development Environment. Alright, now you're going to see Eclipse right here, and in those previous videos it tells you how to go ahead and install and set it up. I would recommend that you probably make sure that you install all of the SDK as well as the latest version of the JDK. Alright, as well as get all the updates for the Eclipse. Get everything up to date so that you've got the most current stuff. That's going to become important to you. You're also going to get all the updates that way. And like I say, in the previous videos, it explains how to go about getting set up. Now, before we begin, one of the first things that you should probably do is come up here to Window, right here on the menu, and go to the AVD Manager. Now, if you're properly set up according to the previous videos, this will be here, as well as the Android SDK Manager. You want the AVD Manager. Go ahead and click on that. Alright, just like that. It will pop up the window like this. Now, you may not have any devices in here. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to make a new device. And click on New, and I'll show you some settings you may want to do. Now, I'm going to start you all out at a lower level of Android. And that's because the lower levels of Androids run on more devices. So when you make programs at these lower levels, it's more probable that if you have a phone or something like that, that you'll be able to actually see this stuff on your phone and put it on your phone and use it so you can test it. So I'm going to start at Android 2.2. I've made one called Test 2 and one called Tutorial Device. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go Edit. Now this will be the same effect as if you click on New. So I'm going to go, and you're going to see this. When you click on New, you won't see any name here, so you're going to need to put a name up there. You can call it whatever you want. Then you're going to need to choose a target. Now for what we're doing here, go ahead and choose Android 2.2 API Level 8. That's where we're going to begin. Now this is the minimum size to set the pseudo SD card to. So go ahead, I'm going to put 9 here. It makes it a little quicker and easier for it to load. Alright, I'm going to leave everything else pretty much the same. Just leave the default stuff, and then I'm done. And then you can create it. Alright, now once you're done, then it will be here in the Android Virtual Device Manager, and you can choose it. So once you've created it, and it's in here, then go ahead and click on it, and then say Start right here, off to the right. So I'm going to start it, because it's going to take a little while for this thing to load on the computer. And then I'm going to say, just leave everything the way it is for me. You might want to play with these things to see how it works on your computer and how it looks. But do that after you try it once this way. And I'm going to say, Launch. Alright, now that's going to go ahead, and it's going to launch a new pseudo Android device on this computer. And it'll pop up, and I'll show you here in just a second what it looks like. There. So this is what it looks like on my computer. It may look different on your computer. I'm going to move it over to the side like this so you guys can see. Now you guys, you all will put it wherever you want it. And now I'm going to go ahead and close this little window. Now this is going to take a while to start, and that's why I wanted you to start up this pseudo Android device. Alternately, you could hook in, you could download the USB drivers, you'll have to go find them, for your device, for your Android device, and plug it into your USB. And that device will show up then when we go to run the program that we're about to make. Alright, so it's actually quicker if you use your own device and plug it in. It's a lot quicker. We're going to start out and begin with by going File and New. Alright, now I have my Eclipse loaded with a number of different things. So what I'm going to show you is the path to take. You're going to go New, and you're going to go Project right here, because you may not see what I'm seeing up here. So go New, Project. That will give you a choice in a second. It'll pop up and give you a choice. There. And you're going to want to click on Android. See this? You can use the Eclipse for a number of different languages. You're going to want to click on the little down arrow here, and then that'll give you more options. And you're going to want Android Application Project. Alright, just like that. And then you're going to say Next. The next thing that we're going to do, we need to make sure we set our project for the proper Android build. Okay? We are running Android 2.2 for this demonstration, so we want to make sure that we choose, and you'll probably have to scroll up and choose Android 2.2. Otherwise you're going to have conflicts and errors, and it's just not going to run for you, or you'll have to make a new AVD. But for what we're doing, go ahead and choose Android 2.2. The next thing, you're going to want to give your project a name. Now I'm going to call this project, you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call this project Android. You could call it Flying Eagles or whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to call this Android First Program. It just helps me keep everything straight on my computer so I know where stuff is. Alright. Now here, this area right here, leave this be. Okay, this is going to be fine. Now, notice I have no spaces. I would prefer during these training sessions you don't use spaces, because sometimes spaces can cause some real havoc. So try to avoid them. Alright, here, what you're going to do is where it says com.example. Now you could just leave it and be fine for the demonstration and you know, for whatever we're doing. But if you're going to put it out on the market, hopefully you have some kind of a site, like, you know, maybe you've got example.com. Say you owned example.com. Well, you do it backwards like this then. You go com.example. Name of your program. That way, there's less chance of any conflict of everybody naming their programs out on the Android market or wherever you're going to put these programs. That's how they're going to find them. So, you want to go, for instance, you can leave this here, or in my case, I would put Programmers Institute here. Now for my students, a lot of times, I'll tell them put self, dot, then whatever their name is, dot, then leave the rest of this name of this program. Alright? So just some explanation about that. If you're going to put it on the Android market though, make sure you name it according to your site, or put something like self, dot, your name, dot, whatever the program is. Alright? So come on down here. Don't leave the default. Because there's probably a lot of people trying to put programs out there with the default. Don't do that. Alright, you notice that that this Android emulator finally came up, by the way. It takes a while sometimes. Okay, now, this checkbox says create a custom launcher icon. It's kind of a cool feature. If you've got the latest upgrades to Eclipse and everything, this is going to be here. If you don't have the latest upgrades, this is not going to be here. So I advise you go get the latest upgrades. Okay, you can get updates. Go to Help up here and go to Updates and do the updates. Alright, now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it just to show you. For practices, a lot of times I won't create a custom launcher because I'm not going to put it out on the market. But if you want the little icon that shows up on your phone, you can create a custom one. Okay, so you also are going to want to create a project in your workspace, and you would have had to tell the Eclipse where your workspace is when you actually set up Eclipse. Now, I've got mine on a certain part in my hard drive. You'll just have to remember, you'll have to put where you want it and tell it where to put it. Okay? So now, I'm going to go next. It'll take a second. And here's where that custom launcher icon. I just wanted to show you so that you have an idea. You can use any images you want. Go browse for an image file. You can use pre-made clip art. Now you can choose out of all the available pre-made clip art, and I'm sure they'll give more as time goes along. Alright, right now it's got this little smiley guy. Now I'm just going to leave him just so you can see what he looks like. Okay, now you can do some other things. You can play with this to your heart's content, and I'm just going to leave it at that and let you go ahead and mess with it yourself. And then we're going to go next. Here, go ahead and tell it to create an activity, and have it blank activity, just like that. Alright, and then go next. And then you're going to see this screen where it says main activity. For us, just leave this be. Leave it alone. Let it be just like this. Don't do a thing to it. You can, later on you'll learn how and why. For now, just leave it be. And go ahead and finish. Alright, now it'll go ahead and it'll create the project on your hard drive. It'll make a folder with all the files in it for your project in whatever area you designated as your workspace. So if you use My Computer or Browse or List or however you go to your directory, you'll find it there. The first window that's going to come up, you're going to see this main XML. Now here's where I vary away from the regular community. I'm not going to use XML. Now it's going to be there, this main activity, but I'm just not going to use it for now. Later on, if I don't actually use it, then I just get rid of it because it doesn't really make any difference. So I'm going to close this. The next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to see your projects. You're going to want to use the Project Explorer. Alright? So if you go to Window up here, Window, Show View, you're going to see Project Explorer right here. See that? Go ahead and click on that and notice where it appears. Now I've got mine over here, right here. And yours might land somewhere else. So you're going to have to watch and see where it goes. If you need to get back to it again, just go Window, Show View, Project Explorer. Alright? So I'm going to click on it now. Now notice here are all my projects that I've been working on. Right here is the current project that we're working on. Right here. See, it says Android First Program. And there's a number of subfiles to this project. Alright? Now, the one that's the most important to us at this point in time is you go right here in this little area where it says Source, SRC, Source. And notice here's your project name. Alright? Then we click on the down arrow there. See this right here? It'll then show you an actual Java file that you're going to use to make the program. So I'm going to click or double click on that. And this will show you the Java file. Now in this newer version of the Eclipse, notice that it throws a little problem there. Don't worry about that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this section right here. Okay, because we're not going to use that for our Android 2.2. So I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to go backspace. Okay, we're just going to do a simple demonstration. Now there's a couple of parts here to take into account. Now if you guys are very, very beginners and you haven't been in Java, you're going to have to, you probably should go study a little Java more too as well. But this, I'll try to kind of guide you through. So for you guys that are advanced, just realize that I'm taking my time for people that really don't have a great idea about Java yet. The first line you've got here, we may create a number of personal files for this project, this Android project we're making, this app, and they're all going to be put together into one package. So we're going to bundle them together. Well, I shouldn't say bundle. We're going to package them all together into one package. And this is the name of the package. Notice it would have your, like com.example, then name of your Android app. Okay, that's the name of the package with a semicolon. Watch your semicolons. Beginners, watch your semicolons. Okay, here, these are all the different pieces that we're going to pull in that Android gives us to work with. If you notice, if you put your mouse over it in Eclipse, it tells you some information. You can actually click right here and get more information and scroll down. And it'll tell you some more information. This is very handy, and you'll find out. Alright, you can click off on the white area and it'll disappear. Okay, so these are all the pieces of the actual Android Core 2.2 file that we're going to use. To find that core file, go to your Project Explorer. Click on it. See where it says Android 2.2? Click on the down arrow. And here's your Android jar that we're pulling pieces out of here to make our actual application. And now here's your down arrow here again. Here's all the different sub pieces, and each one of those have sub pieces, and I'll show you in a minute how that works here, right here. Say for instance, you wanted to find this what this bundle is. You wanted to figure it out. Well, okay, it's in the Android OS bundle. Android.os.bundle. You come over here. You go Android OS. So you go find OS. Here it is right here. Click the little down arrow. And then look for the bundle class right here. So there's the bundle class. Now, one thing I'll tell you about what you're going to see here, it doesn't, unless you really are into this stuff, it doesn't really give you a lot of information sometimes, but you can sometimes figure stuff out from it. So if you double click on this bundle class, for instance, it opens a window, and it gives you some kind of cryptic information here. But if you look it over and you know a little bit about, programming in Java, it'll give you some ideas. The next thing you can do, probably better for beginners, is to actually take this right here and then copy it, and then go paste it in Google and look at the link that comes from the Android developers, and it'll give you more information about this thing. Alright, that's another way to find out information on it. So there are 3 pieces of this, or 3 packages that we're going to import. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to automatically import stuff, so you don't have to worry about this. This is the real cool thing about the Eclipse. You don't have to worry about these things. It'll do it for you automatically. It'll actually bring these pieces in for you as you use the code. And I'll show you that, like I say, in just a minute. Notice the next thing we have down. And first off, also note, we have the import command. That means pull in a piece of that file and use it. Also, notice the semicolon. Alright, here. From this line right here, all the way down to here. Notice you have your curly brace right here. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. I like my curly braces like this, and you can put them down here like this. That lets me know that this stuff all belongs inside. It all belongs to this thing right here. All right. So all this stuff inside of here all belongs to this, and that's why I push those that first curly brace down. I'll do the same thing here. I'll enter and push that curly brace down. There. Now I know all this stuff here belongs to this, and then all this belongs to this. See how this is inside of this, and this is inside of this. Okay. Here, this tells us, go ahead and let everybody use this class. Alright, now for programmer's sake, that means you could give this whole thing to another programmer or whatever, but don't worry about it because you're not going to do that. You're going to actually compile this thing and then put it on the market where hopefully people won't rip it apart, at least not too fast. This is actually the container that contains most of your code. Pretty much you're going to make a class or a number of classes for different things you do. So it's the main, you might think of it as the main container. It's called a class. It's a general, you're going to use this is a keyword. This is an actual Java word that's used to say, hey, there's going to be a main container, and this main container for Android is called, this one is called the main activity. Now, this could be any name you choose. So you could make a container called anything you want. That first screen that we went through, it asked you for a name. This is where it put it. So you're making a container called a class container that is called main activity. Alright, now this says, hey, reach in to the Android 2.2 and pull out some bunch of code and extend in other words, add whatever's in that activity, go ahead and add it to mine. Now, you don't see it, it's invisible, but it's there. That's another beauty. And that's called inheritance. We're actually taking a class that somebody already made, and they put into the Android 2.2, and we're taking all the code that's in that class, and we're adding it to our code right here, so that we can use their code. Okay, reuse. Reuse of code. It's a beautiful concept. Alright, so now, we're going to go ahead and go into here. When this activity is actually the first thing that's going to start up in your Android program. Now, I will show you next where it's actually the very beginning stuff starts. Go to your program, your Project Explorer. Okay, I'm going to close up this Android 2.2 thing here. Okay, now we're going to go down to Android Manifest right here. See that? And double click on it. And it's going to open up a general screen, GUI. And down on the bottom, as you move across, you'll see it says Android Manifest XML. Now here's one XML we will use because you have to. You don't have any choice. Alright? So, in here, this is where the kickoff begins. When your program starts, when somebody actually presses the little icon to start your program, it goes to the manifest first, and it looks through the manifest. Alright? Notice here, it starts giving you some information. I'm just going to kind of wander down. Notice there's application. So here we have an application that's put in here. And as it moves on down, here's more parts of it. Android, code 1, application, activity. There's main activity right there. See that? So this part up here, okay, we have a duplicate in our manifest. And for the moment, I'm not going to put that in there. I'm going to get rid of it. Alright, so I'm going to wipe that out like that. Okay, notice that right here is the ending of that duplicate manifest. So I'm going to backspace there and get rid of that as well. You should only have, for our purposes, one manifest tag for what we're doing right now. And I'm going to take this up along. There. So it should say, you should have in there. Now, yours may not have done what mine just did. You should only have manifest, and then you should have uses SDK. Then you should have application, and then activity. See that? That's what should be in your file. And that's normally what I see. So we're going to go from here. And notice here it says main activity. Okay, main activity is where it actually takes it. Looks here and it says, okay, start up this Java file. And that's going to go over to your Java file that you're programming in over here, and it's going to start this activity. See that? It's an activity type of file. So it's of the type activity. Alright? So when it does that, then it's going to come down here, and it's going to say, okay, when this program or this application starts up on create, in other words, when it gets created, go ahead and run the following code. Now, I'm going to explain in future videos the on create. There's actually a life cycle that an Android application goes through that's very important. And you're going to need to know that life cycle pretty much by heart. Okay, what we're going to do next is I'm going to have you put your mouse right here and click. And then press enter a few times and separate these two. When this activity starts up, it's actually, this says go to the parent activity class and do some startup stuff in that. So we're just going to leave it alone. This one, normally an Android application will bring up that XML file that we first saw when we first started up. We're not going to use XML. So I'm going to have you take out that XML file and delete it. Just like that for the moment. Now we're going to come back to it in a minute, and we're going to put something else in there instead. We're going to put a layout in there. Next thing, I'm going to go ahead and have you use what's called a linear layout. You're going to type, now this, remember, Java, the programming language that you're using, is what we call case sensitive. That means if there's a capital, you gotta put a capital. If there's a small case, you gotta put a small case. That's just the way it is. So I'm gonna put another space in here or two. And right here, right after this curly brace, I'm gonna put linear layout. Now notice the capitalization. Linear layout, all one word. Okay, we're gonna create a layout. And we're gonna do it by using a program instead of an XML file. So we're going to use the linear layout class to do this. So we're going to create a linear layout, and I'm going to call it, I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it layout 1 so that I can always talk to this layout and tell it what to do. Alright, then I'm going to go semicolon. Don't forget the semicolon. Now what we're doing is we're doing what is called declaration. We're saying there shall be a linear layout called layout 1. And if you're ever into the SCA or you're into the medieval times, it's got kind of like the guy out there going, this is the you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, notice that we have a red squiggly line. that's because it cannot find a linear layout class, because we haven't told it to bring that in from the Android 2.2 files. So what we're going to do, now you have to listen to me, because I can't show you on this video. You have to hold down the control key, then keep it held down, press the shift key. Keep it held down, so keep both the control and the shift key held down. Then press the O key. Notice the change. Alright, so Control, Shift, O. Notice that the linear layout was brought in so that we can use it. See that? And notice that the red line disappeared. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to go looking for this stuff, folks. With Eclipse, just go Control, Shift, O, and it'll bring it in for you. Fantastic. I love it. Anyway, I'm also going to show you another thing, and this is called a text view object. So text, T-E-X-T, V-I-E-W. Okay, that's the kind of object that we're going to be creating. And I'm going to call this one label 1, and then semicolon. Now again, red line, so Control, Shift, O. There. So we're going to use, and I'm going to get rid of this extra space here. Okay, we're going to use a linear layout and a text view. Now, a text view is going to act like a label in our program. It's going to show stuff. You're going to put writing in there so that people can see what's in it. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. The next thing you got to do, now that you've done your declarations that there shall be these things, now we actually have to create them in the Android memory. Alright? You come down here, and when this Android application gets created, you're going to tell it, go ahead and create these two things in memory. And here's how you do it. You're going to go layout, like this, layout 1 equals new. We want a new linear layout. Just like this, L-A-Y-O-U-T. We want a new linear layout. So, and we're going to put that linear layout in this activity. So we're going to actually type T-H-I-S. Put it here. Put it in this activity. Alright, and then semicolon on the end. So, go to that linear layout class and use it to create a brand new layout and put that layout in memory and call it layout 1. And attach it to this activity. Alright, and that's what this line is going to mean. We're going to do the same thing for the text view. So we're going to go down to this next line and we're going to say label 1 is going to equal a new, use the new keyword, that's going to activate this whole process, a new text view. Okay, V-I-E-W, just like this. And then parenthesis, make sure you have your parentheses, and this. Okay, so again, we're making a new text view. We're calling it label 1. It's going to go to that text view class and actually create it in memory and put a label on it. It's going to call it label 1. Alright? The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that label inside of the layout. See, the layout in your Android phone right here is going to, it's going to create an invisible layout. Alright? And we're going to go ahead and put this label inside of that layout. So we'll go layout 1 dot add view. Now, I'll tell you why here in a minute. And now I'm going to go over to the side and show you this. Oops. Okay, we'll go to the side here. And like that. Now, it says child. I'm going to double click in there and get rid of that. And I'm going to put label 1. Label 1. Just like that. Alright, so what we have here is we have go ahead and add label 1 to the layout. In other words, label 1 is what we call a view, and in later videos I'll explain what that means. But label, the text view, is a view. So add this view to the layout. Now the final step, right here. When this whole application starts up, we want to see this whole layout on our screen. So we're going to tell it, go ahead and display layout 1, just like this. Alright, and then save. Okay, actually, you're going to want to save everything because we made, up here, there's a save button, because we made changes to the manifest, so save it all. There. Now you have your first program. Now, let's go ahead and run this. up here on top, see this? The first time that you run it, when you click run, it's going to bring up a screen. It's going to say, how do you want to run it? Now it's not showing for me because I've already run it once. But it's going to ask you, do you want to run it as and choose Android application. And then you're going to see this screen. Or, well, I take it back. It's just going to go and it's going to go grab your, if you only have one device, it's going to grab your device and start it up in that device. Once you've done this once and run it once like this, I'm going to cancel it. Then you can go up here to this little arrow off to the side and click on the down arrow after you've run it once. And then you can go run configurations. In run configurations, you can, under target, see this target? Tell it to ask you every time. That way you can choose between your phone or the emulator. Alright? It's always wise anyway to do that. It takes a couple seconds more, but it's worth your time, I guarantee it. So always prompt to pick a device. And then now I'm going to say apply. In that case you'd say apply. I've already done it. Alright, now every time you click run, the screen will pop up and you can pick from a number of devices that may show up here. This is the emulator. If you have a phone plugged in or a tablet, it'll show up here as well. Alright, so I'm going to run it in the emulator and say OK. Now down the bottom, watch in the console what's happening. It's actually uploading this program into this emulator, or it'll upload it to your phone. Either way. Now it's installing it. Okay, success. Activity started. Now sometimes it doesn't connect up and you don't see this emulator. If that's the case, then close down the emulator, go back and go to Window and go start up the emulator again. Alright? And then you should see it in there. If all else fails, you might have to leave the emulator up, close Eclipse, open Eclipse back up, then it'll see the emulator. Okay, just some tips for you. Now notice, your program started, but there's nothing showing. And the reason why is we didn't say put anything in the label. So it's there, and here's the title of your program, right here, main activity. Okay, but it's not showing anything because there's nothing in the label, just a blank. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead right here, right before we shove this label into the layout, right there I'm going to add an extra line or two, and I'm going to say, okay, label 1. Label 1, I'm talking to you. Label 1. And then dot, like that. See, label 1, dot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the text. So set text. Now, you can choose from here too. You can choose that first one if you want, or you can keep typing. A lot of times I'll keep typing. Alright, so set text, and I'm going to come over here and put a semicolon on the end. Then where it says text, I'm actually going to put a double quote, and then I'm going to say, check out my first app, and then double quote. So you can, this is called a string of characters, a literal string of characters that we're surrounding with double quotes. Okay, so now that you got that typed in there, save. Control S, by the way, Control S saves for you. So you can either do that or come up here and save. Okay, so Control S for saving. Save it. Now run it again. Now we should see this check out our first app and say okay here. We should see that pop. Now what's going to happen is you'll see the old program will go away. It'll reload this new change back over into your Android program, or into your Android emulator. And that'll come up in a second. You'll see it load in, and then there it is right there. See, it's a label. It's showing you information, and that's what a label does. You put information in there so that people can see the information. So that's your very first Android application. Now, that's a lot of stuff I've given you, especially if you're a beginner. So you may want to have to pause this video from time to time in order to get everything to work. You might have to go through it a few times. But I guarantee that you're going to be successful if you just keep at it if you're having any kind of problems. But also, if you have any problems at all, you can put a comment on this video, and I'll get back to it as soon as I can and answer your questions for you. Okay, I'm usually pretty quick, within a day or so, about getting back to comments. Alright, now that I'm done with my master's degree, I've got time to come in and answer your questions and things like that. Now, I may not be able to give all the answers to you, because I don't know what's on your computer. So if you're going to ask me some questions about how you configured something, I might not know the answer, folks. I might be able to help you, but if it comes to actually using stuff here, and you're having problems, I can probably help you out. And just shoot me the question anyway, and I'll do my best to give you some kind of an answer or head you in the right direction to find an answer. Alright? And if there's others out there that have an answer for you, hey, put an extra comment on their comment. I mean, this is a kind of a community thing, and this is all here to help everyone. So, you know, join in, and I'll approve those comments if they're good comments. Alright? Alright, here you go. And I hope that these videos will help you. I hope you've enjoyed them. And you guys have, and gals, have a very, very beautiful day.